Hey parents, this video is about working memory. And that is an executive skill that we all struggle with from time to time. Um, so our brain has three different kinds of memory. We have working memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. Our long-term memory is stuff from, our childhood. Gets a little unclear sometimes, but we still have it. Our short-term memory is pretty much most other memory that we have, a couple weeks usually, and then it starts to dissipate. And our working memory is what we're using literally all day long. And we're pulling things from our long-term memory and our short-term memory into our working memory to manipulate information, especially when kids are in school and they're learning. You can hold about 4 to 7 bits of or items of information in your working memory at a time, depending upon your age and how much you've practiced. And that's things like, when a child's in school and they're learning their vocabulary or they're spelling words, or they're manipulating, the teacher says, what's 3 plus 8? Now take away 2, now multiply 3, now divide it by 2. And they do those kind of problems with the kids, and they have to keep manipulating the numbers in their head. After a while, it'll kind of get filled up, right? And then some of that has to dump out, and some of it might be able to dump out depending on the problem. But some of it, if you dump it out, you might not be able to answer the question, right? So it's a matter of really practicing that, keep trying to add more and learning tricks about how to chunk information. So give the kids a grocery list and say, see if you can remember this. And I might have it in my phone so I don't forget, but see if they can make a story out of it for the grocery list that you need to get at the store, or maybe their friends' names. Maybe you give them 4 of their friends' names, and in their head, they have to manipulate the names in their head to put them in alphabetical order, or put them in the order of where they live or something like that. You can give them numbers that they have to try to manipulate in their head. This is all just great stuff to practice that working memory. Another thing, my husband used to always do this game with my kids when we would hike. He would give them like 4 or 5 letters that made up a word, but he put them in the wrong order. And they would have to move them around in their head while we were hiking to be able to figure out what the word was that he was trying to spell. I don't even think it dawned on either of us that it was probably helping with their working memory. We did it just to get through the hike so that they wouldn't complain. Little games like that are really good for their working memory. You could play like that game Concentration. That's a card game. There are lots of things like that you can do that help with memory. And chunking information is super important. So, like the grocery list, you could make a story out of it, or if they have different words they have to learn, maybe it's all word. They try to learn, one chunk is all words with the long A sound, and the other one is all words with the long E sound, or whatever it is that they're learning. That helps our brain be able to hold more information. And it also will give you good ammunition when the time comes that your child says, I don't need a planner, I don't need to write down anything. You can remind them how hard it is to remember all those things, and that you only have 4 to 7 things you can keep in your brain at a time. And then when you get new information, it gets squished out. So if you're given a math assignment at 8:30 in the morning, you are surely not going to remember it by 4 o'clock in the afternoon when you sit down to do your math. You're not going to remember what the assignment is. So you really have to write it down somewhere, because most people cannot transfer that kind of information from their working memory to their short term and be able to find it again. Some people can, but that's really rare. So it's not on them if they can't remember, but what's on them is they have the choice to write it in their planner or on a Post-it or something on their hand. I don't care where they write it, somewhere, right? So anyway, so that's just, it's good. It's just good information for you to have. So when they say, I don't have any memory of what I was supposed to do, you can say, that is why I bought you a planner, or that's why the school got you a planner. And if they don't have it in their planner, where can they find it if it's not there? Does the teacher write it down in Google or not? And if they don't, they're going to have to figure out a system. Okay, so that is my little video on working memory. I hope that helps some.